Welcome back, everybody. So, my name is Paige Elizabeth. This is Creating Consciousness. And today I have with me someone I've known for almost like 20 years now, Kerri Kasem. She's a TV and radio host, and she's founder of the award-winning Facem Beauty. Did I get that
Yep.
right?
You
Yeah.
did. You did.
And I will always have the affiliation of Kerri in my mind with her father, rest in peace. He was also a top 40 DJ, and I'll always remember Saved by the Bell.
Yeah.
The episode of Saved by the Bell he was on. Casey Kasem. So anyway,
Yeah.
welcome, Kerri.
Thank you. It's good to see you. We talk on the phone, but I'm like, oh, I get to see you now.
I know, right?
You look just as good as when I first met you. So you're beautiful.
Well, ditto. And Kerri is about 10 years ahead of me. She's 52.
Yep.
Okay. And one of the things that's really important to me these days is to remind women that you don't have to let yourself go simply because life is getting harder and you're getting older. We can simply get better. And Kerri has proven that she gets better with age. And
Yeah.
so I really wanted to pick her brain about like her lifestyle, what she does, what she's into, and what she recommends for women. So welcome.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. I love talking about this because my life has only gotten better as I've gotten older. And I mean, not only from within, but on the outside too. Like I do a lot. I'm into anti-aging. I've been into anti-aging since I was in my late 20s, and I'm 52 now, and it's really slowed my aging down. I've done, name it, I've done it. I've tried it, whether it's lasers or radio frequency or threads or Botox, which I'm weaning off of, fillers, anything. Like I've done everything to, stop my face from changing. A lot of people said, "Oh, you've changed your face," or when people do that, they change their face. No, aging changes your face. It makes you look like a different person. So I'm trying to stay the same or better than what I was. And you know what? Some people they want to age gracefully. All the power to you. I love that. And if that's what you want to do, but for people that kind of want to take my route, the anti-aging route, I do have some amazing tips and tricks that I share with people on my Instagram. And that I actually got into making an anti-aging cream with my chemist Angie Chacon, and we actually made a cream. It took us about a year to formulate this cream. It's not something where I just put my name on. It's called white labeling or private labeling, but something that I really wanted to give to people that works, that truly works. Because in this beauty industry, I when I was learning about, creams and products and ingredients, I couldn't believe how many products out there say that they have these things in them and that it does all this stuff, but they put 0.0000 like 1%, 0.0001%. Yes, it's in there. Is it active enough? Absolutely not. But there's no regulation. They can tell you it's in there and this is what it does. Does that ingredient do that thing? Yes, but at a very high level. So I said, I would never be that unethical. So my cream all has ingredients that have a percentage that actually work. So I've now had my cream out for 3 years and it's won 2 awards and I use it all the time. Um, and I love it. And I wanted to help women out. I wanted to help women feel their best and look their best and have their skin look amazing. So that was part of my journey, I guess, into aging is like giving back. And I was sick with Lyme disease for 11 years. I was the last few years very, very, very ill. And I got off the last 15 years ago. I got off of sugar, soy, wheat. I'm now off of all seed oils and processed food. I eat organic as much as I can to keep the toxins out of me. And I healed myself with biomagnetics. And I did a whole podcast on that. So if people have Lyme, please go and find me on my podcast. And we can maybe put a link up page
Sure.
that it's called my podcast is called Kerri Kasem's Rock Sugar Magic. And the podcast is how I healed my Lyme. So, and it literally will take you through everything that I went through and how I healed it. So when I did come out of that. And that was wow, it's not like a little over 3 years ago that I literally, when you say cure, you're not supposed to say cure. You're not supposed to say, healed, but it did. I had a diagnosis of Lyme, Babesia, all the co-infections, Bartonellas. I had Epstein-Barr virus. I had all these viruses and infections, and they're all gone. And the Lyme is gone. So when you have a body that's riddled with this type of disease and you have pain, you can't think, you have brain fog, you're exhausted all the time, you can't even look outside because there's like the light is so bad because your eyes are so sensitive or your skin is sensitive. When you come out of this living nightmare that I was in, and at 49 years old, I was like, I can live my life again. I can go to the gym. I can be physical. I can go outside. I can look out a window. I started riding horses again. I started doing everything. And I'm like, I went from not being able to live for 11 years to living the best life I've ever had. I was like, I'm going to learn how to fly a helicopter. So I learned how to fly a helicopter. I'm going to, like the boy in the black stallion, did you watch that page? When the horse is on the okay, so there's a scene with this little boy and his black stallion, and they're on a beach, and he gets on the horse for the first time, and he does this thing with his arms where his arms are out, and he's just riding this horse flying down the beach. And as a kid, when I saw that in 1979, I said to my dad, I'm going to do that. And I finally made time in my life to do everything I always wanted to do. And I did that. I went viral, had 1 billion views. Um, Changed my life. I was like, I'm sent all over the world riding horses and magazines and taking pictures with the most beautiful horses in the world. And it's been amazing. But I decided to make my life better. I decided at 49, these were going to be the best years of my life. And being 52, I can look back on these last 3 years and said, like, these were the best years of my life. I feel better. I feel good. I feel pretty. I feel like happy and I just feel like women that think that when you get older, it's all downhill from there. It's like that's your mindset.
Right.
Change your mindset and your life will change. You said something, actually, I was reading your book. So I have your book here. Okay. It's like page 105. Hold on. And I so believe this. Um, And you're talking about like the law of attraction, right? And a law of like, and this is so real for me. You said, if there is any part of you that isn't in cahoots or agreement with what you want, you will attract the things you don't want first to work them out. That is so true. Like for me, was so I knew exactly what I wanted. There was no stops. There was no disagreements. There was no maybe I'm going to do this. I can't. It was like, no, I'm going to do this. I said, I am going to find this horse and I'm going to go ride it. And I was on Instagram and I found a guy riding his horse like that in Morocco on the beach. Called him up. I'm like, hey, it was during COVID. Hey, can I come ride your horse like that? Like on, what you were doing without the reins and the saddle? And he's like, sure, come on down. I'm like, great. And he goes, can you ride? I'm like, yeah. So kept trying to go out to Morocco, but my planes kept getting canceled because of COVID.
Yeah.
But as they kept getting canceled, I kept telling people what I was doing, right? So I had 10 people come with me, and it was for my birthday, and I got to do this on my birthday. And it was July 12th. Gosh, when was that? Like 2022? What is it? 23? No, 21. 21. Wow, 21. And and I just did this video. This guy was on a quad. He was riding along next to me. I'm flying down the beach without any reins or saddle. And I'm like, this full freedom. It's like my life came full circle from like when I saw that as a kid, when I was in 1979. And then it's 2021. And here I am doing it. But I had just made the choice. I literally said, this is what I'm going to do. And there was no stops. And it happened like that. I'm going to fly a helicopter. And it's like you can't just say that, and now you, it's not like the Matrix where it's like Trinity goes download how to fly a helicopter. I mean, I wish,
Right.
right? But I was like, I'm gonna do this. And there were no stops. And I just did it. I just did it. Like it's so real to me because there are things that I've wanted in life, but then you doubt it. Or you put like, oh, I can't have this, or there's always like you're not fully in agreement and you won't get them. That's very true. Did that happen for you? That way? Have you had things where you're like, ah, I'm not sure about it, and it just takes you forever to get them?
I've had so many experiences. I mean, and that's why, like, anytime I set my mind to something, I don't get what I want. I get the parts that have to be cleared out first. And people don't realize that I think I said this in my book because I know I use these words a lot. People mistake the way for the outcome or the process for the outcome a lot. And you just have to stick with it. But it's like so many times in my life. I mean, I'm going through it right now. Like I've had body dysmorphia my entire life. I've always held the or like I've begrudgingly kind of like built muscle mass because what happens is you build muscle mass but the fat doesn't go anywhere initially and it's like you just get thicker and it triggers so much of my like internal discomfort because I'm like my brain can't differentiate between muscle and fat. It's just my pants are tighter now and it just I freak out. But I'm really trying to confront that in real time now and just go through it because I'm like I'll never be able to transform my body the way I want if I just call it quits every time I get uncomfortable. I
Sure.
have to keep pushing through. And I'm finally now getting to the point where it's like, okay, I think I'm pushing through that point where it was so uncomfortable and like things are actually starting to shed on the outside so you can see what I've built on the inside. But it's like it's just whew.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up in the late 80s and 90s where it was all about, the skinny models and yeah, it was just it's never gone away. The body dysmorphia has never
Wow.
gone away. So it's a very real thing for me. But yeah, I mean, definitely. I would say the first time I experienced that was when I was 20 and I was like, I just want to date a gentleman. And I had like set my mind to just dating a gentleman. And initially for the first month, I got every asshole literally like, who do you think you are to want that? And I was just like, what is this? And then I was like,
That's
no, I'm
weird.
gonna keep going, keep going. And then finally, like, he kind of plopped into my lap and I was like, okay, so that was just a test to see if I really wanted it that badly. But, you know,
Yeah. Yeah. I
so
have the same thing. Like I will put out, and especially for men when I'm dating them, I'm like, oh, I want this kind of guy. And I will get exactly what I put out, but it doesn't mean it's the right person for me. And now I'm starting to go, okay, I need the right man for me. And I've listed everything that I want in that. But then you also have to say, who does who do you have to be to get that type of
oh,
man?
100%.
Right? And that's, I think, the step that women miss. It's like, I want this guy. I want that guy. I want him to have this much money. I want to have, it's like, well, who do you have to be for a guy like that to want to date you? That was somebody said to me many, many years ago, and it was like, whoa, that hit me. Like that is so true. Who do I need to be to get somebody that, yeah, on my list, somebody that I want, somebody that I feel like we would make a great team. I have to be, and I believe that in a relationship, you have to be team players. You have to support one another. You have to give um, and receive just as much. It has to be equal. And in some of my relationships, I'm not going to say who, but in some of my relationships, like you give, 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 and you make their life like amazing. And it's like, well, wait a second. But I have a company too. I have this too. I have that too. And are you going to put any energy toward it? Are you going to come to any of my talks? I'm moving my house to 20 years. Were you going to help me with that? Like it was like, like there's certain things that it's like, wait a second. You want a guy who's like, I'm going to help you as much as you help me. Let's be a team member. Let's be a power couple, and I will find that because at this point, I would rather be alone than have somebody that I don't see a future with. And I've done that many times and I stopped that. I'm like, I'm done. The next guy I am with, that's going to be my, whether we get married or not, life partner. That's going to be somebody I'm married. That's going to be somebody I'm with. But I always had it in my head too, which is another thing that you manifest or postulate or create for yourself is like, oh, this is, we don't have to get married. It's, this is going to be good for now. It's temporary and so far so good. I'm like, no, I don't want that anymore. But that's what I created every single time I dated.
Mhm.
Every single time. I'm like, I'm done with that. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm currently going through a similar process with my business. I after COVID and I rebranded to try to relaunch. And this time I was like, I don't want to do one-on-one. I want to scale and do it a little bit differently, do group. And my mindset was more about like making it about the women and just that part, and things were not clicking at all. And finally, I just had kind of this breakthrough moment where, because I've had a lot of situations in the last few years where I've had to show up and fight, show up and fight. We're talking being assaulted. We're talking like my neighbor was harassing me and stalking me, and property management was like, we have no idea what you're talking about, like just
Oh,
constantly. And I got on this call with this guy. I was totally catfished. I was looking for a coach. And I responded to an ad for women about women, and like all 10-minute ad about women. And I was like, great, maybe I just need to work with a woman. I get on the call and there's a man. And I was livid. I felt betrayed. And so I gave him attitude. And their whole thing was, you're discriminating and you're angry. And I was like, I'm angry. I was like, oh, no, I'll show you anger. What you saw was
yeah.
shock and betrayal, but I'll show you anger. And so I wrote him back this long email, and literally like at the very end, I said, since we've both decided that I'm the bad guy here, I'm just gonna basically tell you to go fuck yourself. Like, I don't even care. Like, you totally mismarketed yourself.
So wait, they
Oh,
said it was a woman? They
yeah,
said,
yeah, it was a female coach. It was a female coaching brand, everything. And then I get on a call with a guy, and I was like, I'm confused. I was totally in my brain ready to deal with a woman, and I just was not
that is so
comfortable.
crazy.
Yeah,
That is totally fraud.
and so then I sent back that email because there was this like a tiny part of me that was like, am I in the wrong? And then I was like, no, like they curated, this whole thing, and so my expectations were very much based on their advertising, and it was like, I'm not wrong for calling that out. He just didn't like that I confronted him about
Right,
it. And
right,
I
right.
told him, I said, I'm used to men like you trying to make me wrong because you don't like me confronting you. That's fine. But it was weird. And then I was on the call with my ads guy, and it just came out of my mouth. And I was like, you know what? Like, but when women heal, they speak. And I was like, or when women speak, they heal. And I was like, maybe that's why I keep going through all of this. Maybe I just need to own it. Like,
So wait, did you write them up? Did you like write reviews and put like did you take a picture of like the guy? That's what you need to do so the
uh,
women don't fall prey to that.
I didn't, but I was just like, I mean, I've had to be that Karen on so many other levels right now. Like the last coaching company I was with did nothing for me. I mean, I spent $24,000 for them to deliver nothing. So then when I charged back 12 grand of it, they were like, "How dare you? She da 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 da." And I literally had to just fight, fight, fight. Then Barclays was like, oh, by the way, this other $4,000 charge, was that intended? And I was like, so they took 16 from me? Like, are you kidding? They
Did you
overbilled
get it
me.
back?
I did.
Okay,
And
good.
and thanks to ChatGPT was like, make sure you file with the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. And literally, like, because part of it was on my Citi card. And as soon as I did that, because Citi, it didn't look like Citi wanted to side with me. They kept giving them more time, more time. As soon as they got the notice from the bureau, they sent me an email saying, we've closed out your case in your favor. Have a great day.
Oh my, okay, so what is this? Wait, wait, wait. You've got to not only tell me, but tell everybody who's listening. What do you do now?
The Consumer Financial Protections Bureau. So they're a federal agency that investigates any sort of financial institutions, merchants, loans, credit cards, anything where you feel like you've been done wrong financially. They investigate. So they
Okay,
investigate.
you have to text me this when we're off. You have to text me this.
Yeah,
I
they
have something.
investigate. Well, and I found it from ChatGPT. They're like, make sure
So
you
funny.
do this. But yeah, so they basically, and ChatGPT said most banks will just automatically side with you because they don't want to be investigated. Because if they find that they didn't do their due diligence, they get fined for it.
Oh, wow.
So a lot of times they'll just be like, okay, you win,
There
we're
you
out,
go. There
we're
you
out.
go. Yeah, 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 yeah. Wow. Okay, you definitely have to tell me that.
Yeah.
You
So
definitely.
I was like, there's just been so many instances of me having to fight. But then I was like, well, maybe if I reframe this and not have so much resistance behind it, but just take ownership of it and be like, no, you're not going to do me wrong. And then all of a sudden, my energy shifted, our branding shifted, everything shifted. And it was like, no, 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 no. Don't begrudgingly speak. Stand in your power and speak. And that's how
Yeah.
you heal. Like just step into it. And it's like now everything is falling in my favor.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. I love
So,
that.
yeah, so it's been like a total mindset shift. But, like I said, at the core of it, again, like I was up against all of these things going, why is it happening again? And it was because I wasn't in my power. I was dealing with it. Like I was fighting back, but like, oh God, like with so much reluctance. And now I'm
Yes.
like, bring it.
Good. That's how I am when it comes to like when
Yeah.
I do my bills. Since 2013 when my father was basically isolated by his wife and none of us kids could see him. His brother couldn't see him, like none of his friends, nobody he worked with. He was completely isolated. And that's when I found my power. It was like I am going to save my dad no matter what it takes. If I lose everything, I'll build it back up. But that was how like I found my power and my voice standing up for my dad. And it's been like I'm a different person because of that. I wish it never happened and I wish he never went through all this, the hell he went through and he passed away because of it. But I've changed the laws in 22 states because
Nice.
of, yeah, thank you. And now I'm going federally because, this type of elder abuse and guardianship abuse should not be allowed. And it's terrible. Anyway, so I found my voice speaking out for my dad. So I get it. Like, and everything started happening. It was like, I'm going to change the law because I was told by my lawyers I'll never win in court against a wife of 34 years. And I said, well, then I'm going to change the law because to allow a woman or a family member or a guardian or conservator, like as in Britney's case, Britney Spears when she went through that whole thing,
Hmm.
and then anybody who has a conservatorship or power of attorney and then keeps the family away with this isolation, right? It's terrible isolation. That's legal. And you can do that. But with my bill, there's some protections. Not all protections, but some protections. So,
Oh,
yeah, it was like,
no, go ahead and finish. Sorry.
no, it's fine. Yeah, yeah, no, it's just that's where I literally became the person I am today. And just like stand up for what I believe in and be persistent, and I was and I won the case in court and I changed the law. So, yeah.
Well, one of my situations was with a guy on YouTube who stole my content and tried to change like the narrative about it. Like she's old, she's a hag, no one wants her. And I was like, excuse me, like, and
What?
so when I filed the claim with YouTube, he did the whole, well, I have the right to fair use. And so then I was talking with this attorney who's a civil rights attorney, and he's agreed to take on my case on a contingency just because he wants to do the fight. He wants to go up against YouTube more than anything.
Yeah.
And he said, you don't challenge the law, like the behavior under the law. When something like this happens, you challenge the statute. Like
Yeah.
this is no longer viable. He goes, because of the way technology has just, you know, moved so quickly that the laws are not catching up,
Yeah.
especially when it comes to digital publishing. He goes, so we wouldn't attack it from like he's wrong. We would attack it from the law is not appropriate.
Right, right, right.
So I get that. Yeah. I mean, and that's the angle that he wants to take.
Oh, awesome. So you're gonna go after this guy?
I'm still thinking about it. The attorney's a little weird, which is my only concern. But his thinking behind it is definitely on point. So it's just a matter of like I got to talk to him some more about it, but
You
it's a
could, I mean, you
possibility.
can still go after anybody and the judge can decide, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, like it was just interesting. I had this whole different way that I wanted to approach my business, and even my ads guy was like, Hormozy said he wished that he would have been his brand front earlier. Like maybe you just needed to be the voice of everything and
Right.
be the face of it all. And I'm like, well, that wasn't my plan, but okay, if that's what works, then that's what I need to do. And that's what we're gonna
Right,
do.
right, right, right.
So it's just made me, I've always been a pretty formidable individual, but now it's even more.
No, it's awesome. And I think as we get older too, not all, but many of us, we get very comfortable. Like we get more comfortable in who we are, and we don't care so much about what people think.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I don't care anymore. Like it's so funny. I used to care so much what people would think, and I don't. And look, I don't, and it's allowed me to actually have a lot more love for humanity and a lot more understanding and caring, which is very interesting. When you don't care what people think, you can go, oh, wow, for them to be that mean, for them to, they must not be living a very happy life. Something's wrong, something happened, whatever that may be. Like it's not me. I do not take anything personally. Or like if somebody's mean, I'm like, "Hmm." Or if it's really bad, block, delete. I don't care. Like it's so nice to really not have that affect me anymore and what people think. So when people, if they were to ever say anything to me, I'm just like, wow, that person's miserable. Block, delete, and just don't even think about it again, you know? And it's nice to have that instead of, "Oh, why did they say that to me? Or why is there like, what am I doing wrong? Or, and like, how much wasted energy do you take up on that when you're young? Worrying.
I've never been good at caring about what other people think. I mean, to the point where I've been really criticized for that. Like, Paige, you should care at least a little bit. Like, you're a little too brazen at times.
Yeah.
It's just like, why? Why would I ever put gravity in someone else's opinion? Especially because one thing I learned really young is that if people have decided to hate you, it doesn't matter what you do. And so it's
Right.
like, I'm just going to live my life. And what's funny is I used to think people did hate me. What I learned when I got into yoga and teaching people was most people were afraid of me. They didn't actually hate me. They were just terrified of me, but they didn't actually dislike me.
Oh my God. Did they tell you that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They were like, no, it's just afraid of you. Like,
Was
and
it why? Because of like your the talent or you put yourself out there and you were kind of famous in that world or
yeah, I think because maybe they were worried that my strength would be directed at them in a weaponized kind of way or something, even though that's
yeah,
not the case at all. But I'm actually like really good about being the cheerleader or the protector of an underdog. Like I will absolutely go to bat for the weak person, legitimately weak person. But I think they're just like with the women that I work with, most of them have spent a lifetime being afraid of using their voice. And so they see a woman who does and they're drawn to that, but they also fear it. You know what I mean? Like, what
yeah,
are the implications of being that outspoken?
right,
So
right. Yeah, no, and I do think there's some intimidation when somebody is that outspoken. It's if you don't have that ability to confront or ability to speak, and somebody does, like for me, talking about me, I was always intimidated by people that I admired and by people that I would listen to either on the radio or people who I found smart. I was like around them and I didn't know what to say because I didn't believe in myself. I didn't have that inner strength. And so I was always intimidated by people. And maybe that it was a little bit of fear. And now I don't even care. And it's so weird. I have friends that I have friends who I've listened to on the radio or I've read their books or I look up to and I have no like I just don't have any of that weirdness anymore. And it's so nice to live in that world instead of worrying about what I'm going to say. Did I say something wrong? How do I look? Did I come off stupid? Was that dumb? Or constantly questioning myself, which I did for so many years. And I could be in a room full of people and make my rounds and people thought I was so social and I was great and I was just sitting here going, I'm faking this. I'm uncomfortable. Now I can be in a room full of people and I am I just feel good in my skin. I feel happy. I like myself. I look in the mirror and I like who's looking back. I couldn't have said that for most of my life. So It's just a different it's a different world. And that's I think comes with doing work on myself, definitely spiritually, and and letting things go and getting older and loving it.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Well, one last point about that, and then we'll dive into your secrets. But I, people will talk a lot in women's leadership about imposter syndrome, for example. And it's like,
Right.
I had the thought one day, because I never feel like I have imposter syndrome. But
That's good.
it dawned on me, but I never show up trying to be someone I'm not either.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
And I thought, well, of course you'd have imposter syndrome if you're trying to show up and be something to others, but not to yourself.
Right.
You would feel like an imposter. But I don't do that. Like I
Yeah.
don't even know how to do that. So it's like I just show up as me and take like the more vulnerable I feel, the more vulnerable or sorry, the more responsibility I take for that humanness. Of
Yep.
course I'm going to say something stupid. I'm a human being. Like it is
Right,
what
right,
it
right,
is.
right. Right. Yeah, and I don't care if I say something stupid now. I don't care. Like, okay, whatever, you know. And it's nice that you've had that ability to have to just be you, to walk in and say what you want. I didn't. I was God, I lived so many years of my life like worried about what I was going to say to somebody or what they were going to think of me. And that's just it's so nice to not have that anymore.
No,
Yeah. It was
definitely.
like,
Like I said, it's
yeah,
the biggest thing that I deal with women is just their capacity to identify who they are and then take ownership for it and then execute. Like just be
yeah,
that. It's like so
yeah.
anyway. Kerri, tell me about the symptoms of Lyme disease. Like, how did you know initially that there was something that was wrong?
Well, in 2007, I was living in Las Vegas and I was on KXNT and I had stepped on a nail and like, oh, you got to go get a tetanus shot. I'm like, okay. Like it wasn't rusty or anything, but they're like, yeah, you have to get a tetanus shot. So I went in, I got a tetanus shot, not knowing that tetanus, that it's such a small risk of getting tetanus. You have to be near like cows or a barn. It has to have rust, and that rust has to like it's not even the rust that carries the tetanus. It's the bacteria that comes from the cow poop or the
Mm,
horse. And so it's like most people aren't around barns or you're not stepping on nails with rust that has cow poop on it. And I didn't know this. And it's like there's, tetanus only grows in certain things. So I went and got it. And then the next day I went to work and I remember like a little bit of blood coming out of my nose. I was having a high fever. I'm like, what is going on? And they sent me home and I couldn't get out of bed. So I called my program director and he literally picked me up out of bed and took me to urgent care. And I had no idea like what this was going to do, but for the next 11 years, my health just kept declining and declining and declining. I kept getting misdiagnosed. Oh, you've got an autoimmune issue. Oh, you've got MS. Maybe it's lupus. And I went to UCLA and had thousands of dollars worth of tests done on me. And it's like I have this, it's called a high ANA count anti-nuclear antibody, which says, oh, your body's attacking itself somewhere, which was not my case. I was told, oh, it's a hormonal thing, it's a vitamin deficiency. I'm just like constant misdiagnoses, constant difference. You need to do this, you need to take this and this medication and this. And sometimes it would get a little better and then I would crash again. I did so many IVs, I can't even get an IV in my arm anymore. And I mean, from the midday exhaustion, which would hit me at 3 o'clock, most Lyme people have this. They have a time where they just go down and
hmm
mine was 3 o'clock. And I just, from there, it was like the skin sensitivity, the sexual dysfunction, the rashes all over, the light sensitivity, my hair falling out. Um, the I had rheumatoid arthritis. So my hips were hurting, my elbows, like everything was just hurting. Everything was hurting. The migraines, there's so many of it. And this is where I talk on my podcast that I've put up. It's on Spotify and Apple and YouTube. You can find it and you can put the link there. I'll give it to you. But I really talk and go into like what it was like to have these things. But I remember like if anybody would ask me to go to dinner or do something like some work thing at night, I was like dreading it because I would have to drink tons of energy drinks just to get myself there. But I would sit in bed and I'd watch TV. And it was the only thing I could do. It was like, I can't move. I'm so exhausted. Sometimes I would just cry because I'm like, I can't get up out of bed. So I remember watching like every crime show on Netflix and anything I could get. So now I can't, like, I've seen everything. But when I got healed from this, I was doing liquid oxygen water in Vegas at the Cocoon Wellness Spa there. And it just looks like a bathtub filled with water, but it's highly pressurized oxygen. I did that for 9 months. I did 3 baths a day, 2 weeks on, 10 days off, 2 weeks on, 10 days off, 2 weeks on. That was one full cycle. I did that for 9 months. And it it was amazing. It literally detoxed my body of everything. I felt better than I ever had. But when I wouldn't stay in the water, the symptoms kept creeping back in. Now, maybe if I had done another 9 months, it may have cured it. I don't know. All I know is I found a man named Calvin Barber, who's a naturopathic doctor. He said, I had Lyme disease. It almost killed me. And what cured me was biomagnetic therapy. And he gave me the name of a woman, Dr. Marie. And he's like, you've got to find her. She's in California. She's not too far from you. And you can go to her. So after 9 months, I came back to Los Angeles. And the week the country shut down, the week LA shut down, like was when I went to Dr. Marie. And she, this is so crazy. She could be 2 to 3 hours away in traffic, in LA traffic, and I could get there in an hour to an hour and 15. And I went once a week for $50. And between 6 and 8 months, completely cured of Lyme disease, Babesia, Bartonellas, Epstein-Barr virus. I mean, I would go away and I kept thinking, okay, it's going to creep in, it's going to creep back, and then 4 months went by. I moved to Florida for 4 months, nothing. It was completely fine. And
Mm,
so I've now like set up clinics. I have a clinic in Florida and I have friends who have either med spas or little clinics. I'm like, you've got to use this chair. You've got to. It's a reclining chair with magnets all through it. You lay on it and then you place magnets all over your body. And with Lyme hides. It hides in your spine, it hides in your brain, it hides in your joints. And so with this technology and this type of biomagnetic therapy, the Lyme can't hide from it. It kills it. It kills pathogens, mold, bacteria, parasites, everything. So I saw so many terminal illnesses get better when I was doing this. I had 2 people with stage 4 cancer that we went to the same appointment time, and by the time I was out, they didn't have cancer anymore. So it's an incredible healing modality that's been around for 1,000 years that has been demonized and suppressed, and you don't even can't even find it anywhere. And then the people learning this type of magnet therapy, they're usually outside this country. It's like Mexico has a clinic, but they're all different kinds of biomagnetic therapy. This is a very different. Dr. Marie is a naturopathic doctor. She came up with this type of technology.
mhm,
So it's just been a lifesaver for me, and I feel like I got my life back. And so I opened one in outside of Tampa, Florida, and then there's one in Vegas. There's one in the Los Angeles area now. You don't have to drive, a couple hours away. And then there's one in Fort Myers, and then there's one opening in Minneapolis. So yeah, that's I just like I can't see people waste. I've literally had people come in and said I've mortgaged my house. I've $100,000. One girl said I've spent $300,000 in the last 10 years trying to get better. Like, it's unbelievable. Like Lyme, there are so many different cures for Lyme, and you can't even say that. Oh, this cures it. I mean, there's the bee sting therapy now that people have really said works. There's frequency machines they say work like Rife. The biomagnetic therapy has been a lifesaver for me. So there are things that can. And it's like, why are you suppressing people who can take a blood test, take these tests, they have these infections, they have this, now it's gone, and they can't say, hey, this is what cured me. This technology cures Lyme. You can't say that. And it's terrible. Absolutely terrible.
yeah, I mean, because I think I told you my story. I lost all my hair at age 4,
Yeah.
and no Western doctor, no allopathic doctor could figure it out. So my mom went the non-allopathic route eventually. And it was a homeopathy practitioner who got it to grow back in 6 months. It was a
Yeah.
it was a thyroid issue, and it was like, oh, you couldn't figure that out with Western medicine, and basically, I looked like a chemotherapy patient, but we got my
Yeah.
hair to grow back, and ever since then, my entire family, when I say my entire family, I mean my entire like 50 relatives, we are very much on that other spectrum now as a result, and just always have been. And I have done a type of magnetic therapy. I know we talked about it. She was from Mexico, trained there, and
Mhm.
so I have experienced some of that. And then my doctor, who I go to mostly here, he's pretty adamant about not wanting any exposure because he's so good at what he does that it could
Yep.
threaten his career.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Like Dr. Marie, I never say her last name and she doesn't really have a website and it's all word of mouth. And
Hmm.
that's, like she's like, I just keep it on the down low. I help who I can. And that's what my mission is here. And she has a clinic in Mexico as well. So she goes back and forth every week. And she's just a true healer. And to go back to what I was talking about when I got that tetanus shot, I was interviewing a woman named Dr. Judy Mikovits on KABC. And I said to her, and she has a whole story with Fauci. She used to be with like right hand man to Anthony Fauci, Dr. Fauci, during the AIDS epidemic, and she's the one who isolated I guess, the gene or whatever that it was a. I'm so bad with this medical stuff, but she really helped find what AIDS was and isolated this like I guess gene or something, and she was like a known as one of the best uh, epidemiologists or virologists. And Fauci then said, "Hey, I want you to work on vaccines. I want you to, take a look and I want you to dive deep into this." And she found a lot of things that were going on and making people sick. And when she told that to Fauci, he came in with armed guards and just took all of her stuff, put her in jail for a day. And that was 7, 8 years ago. And she has not had her day in court. She's written 5 books. She has all the like she can back up everything she's saying. She's never been sued because if they sue her, she can go to court and explain this. But she told me on KBC, I said, look, my health started going downhill after I got this tetanus shot in 2007. I
Hmm.
swear it feels like I got Lyme from that. And she goes, you did because they put Lyme in vaccines and especially tetanus. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, I'm a proud anti-vaxxer. I mean, back in the 80s, we didn't get the what it is today.
right.
And my mom, I remember my brother had a bad reaction, like his brain swelled up.
Hmm.
And she was like, "That's it. I'm not. We're not doing anymore. I don't know what this was. I don't know why this happened. But we're not doing anymore." And now all my nieces and nephews, like they're all not vaxxed.
Yeah, my friends who have vax kids constantly sick, ear infections, they have egg allergies, peanut allergies. There's all these problems. And then my friends who have kids who are not vax, they are thriving.
Yeah, I mean,
Just an observation, it's like observe. People just get so angry instead of actually taking a look. It's like, well, I don't have kids. I don't have anything on this. I'm like, as a kid, I had vaccines that was in the 70s, so I had a few vaccines, but um my sister was always sick, always infections, always problems. I've had, issues before I even got Lyme disease. Who knows if that came from the vaccines or not? I don't know, but I can look with my own eyes and I can look at kids who have vaccine issues that have whether it's emotional issues, learning disabilities, sicknesses, whatever. And then I look at my friends, quite a lot of friends now that have unvaxxed kids, they don't have any of that. So it's just an observation. Maybe I'm right, maybe I'm wrong. It's just what I've observed. So I
it's
think
been
they're,
yeah, it's been my observation that like when the brain's not functioning properly, usually two things, toxins or trauma.
that's right. Yeah, yeah,
So,
that's right. That's
and
right.
I feel bad for people who are like, oh no, I am my ADHD or I am these things. And it's like,
Oh, it's so
if you want
ridiculous.
it,
They told me I had ADD, ADHD, depression. This psychiatrist told me, oh, and gave me all this medication. Not one time did he take a blood test and learn that I was severely anemic. I was vegan. I wasn't eating properly. I didn't have enough protein. My brain had no fats. This was a very long time ago. But instead of actually doing the work, he's this lazy man, decided to just put me on all this medication, which made everything worse because it was masking a major problem in my body. I needed more nutrition. So as soon as years later, when I realized this was a nutrition problem and an eating problem, and I fixed everything, oh, I didn't have ADD anymore. Oh, I didn't have depression. Oh, I didn't, it's like all your fake diagnoses on me were so wrong and harmful. What this man did, he harmed me by putting me on all this stuff. And so, no, we are not ADD. You are not your ADD. You are not your ADHD or your depression. You are not that. And that can be caused by, most of the time, can be caused by vitamin deficiencies and toxins. Absolutely. And there's a company called True Hope out of Canada that that really helps people, especially if you're on medication, you don't know how to get off or whatever. True Hope is incredible. It's they're fantastic. So yeah, for anybody looking for that,
Yeah, definitely. I mean,
right?
I'm just grateful I lost my hair because now, like, my whole life has changed the trajectory
Yeah,
and how we approach health, and I don't have to go against my family like some people do. Like, no, my whole family's on this
it's
bandwagon.
so true. Me too. Me too. Me
Yeah.
too. They're
So,
starting to come around though. Some people in my family are like, "Oh, okay, can you tell me about this?" Or like I'll give them advice on something and like, "Wow, that worked." Like, yeah, yeah, it does. It does work. And oh, can I have the number to that person? Or what did you say you used? And I'm like getting that now instead of so much pushback, which is great.
well, the fact that I am 43 and I had more stamina, more energy, more strength, more vitality now than I did at 25,
Yeah,
I
same,
mean,
same.
so,
Yeah,
and I hate it when people say, oh, like fertility falls off a cliff at 35. Well, if you don't take care of yourself, I guess it will. But
that's right. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
like, I mean, I don't know. Like, I take better care of myself now than I did in my 20s. So,
Yeah,
no.
it's true. It's true.
And you can be any age and have infertility. So,
Yeah. No, that is true. And the one thing that magnets do is, when Murray's like, you have to be very careful because you can get pregnant while using this. It makes you very fertile. She told this to a friend of hers. She's going in to get some magnet treatments for something, and she has two older kids. They're out of the house, and she's like, "No, I can't get pregnant." And Murray's like, "Please take precaution." She just had a baby a few months ago. She's in her late 40s and maybe early 50s. And it's like, there's no way I can get pregnant. And she started over.
yeah, if you're ovulating, you can. That's all it
You
takes.
can, but I guess it wasn't like, I don't know if she was like in perimenopause and she didn't think so. And she's like, listen, this will start, and it's funny because I got long COVID and it stopped my period. And I was like going through perimenopause. And as soon as I started getting back on the magnet chair, soon as I started sitting that thing, 3 sessions in, everything was fine again. I got my period again and I was like, back to normal. But then I just experienced menopause last year. So now I'm in menopause, which is fine. And I have a tip on that for women who are dealing with, nobody tells you this with menopause. Nobody, that you feel like you're going crazy, that there's a time in the day, just like Lyme, where all of a sudden you start to get anxious and like angsty and upset and you have this bad mood. And I couldn't pick things like heavy things up without my elbows hurting because my ligaments were drying out. You have these like hot flashes. Then you sweat at night. I'm like, what is going on here? I just got rid of my Lyme disease. I am not going into this. So I did a little bit of bioidentical hormones and it did help. But I was watching a man named Dr. Eric Berg, and Dr. Berg is on YouTube and he's phenomenal. And I looked up menopause and he said, you've got to get off of caffeine, which I was addicted to caffeine and coffee. Get off of caffeine and start taking borage oil or borage oil. I call it borage so people understand it's like rage, borage, but borage oil. And I do a tablespoon of that every day. I'm off the caffeine. I have zero menopause symptoms. Zero. Totally fine. So look, I've given this tip to so many women. most women are like, this is amazing. Some women, there's some more that they need to do, but this can help many of you. So if they're watching, if somebody's watching, it's like, I need help. This does help. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
But
what are your favorite, like, of all the things that you've tried in terms of like anti-aging and stuff, what would you say now you're like, okay, these are the ones to not waste your time with, and these are the ones
yeah,
you definitely need to invest?
radio frequency, number one thing, it tightens your skin, keeps your skin tight. So look at Morpheus 8. You also something called soft wave, not soft, but soft, SOF wave. Soft wave tightens your skin. You need to cleanse your skin with a good mild cleanser. Make sure the makeup is off. Use cream that has vitamin C, which is it's known. There's only a couple things that actually will create collagen. That's one of them is vitamin C. And I've been using that forever. That's in my cream. So I have like CoQ10, algae, aloe, uh, vitamin C, and I'm so far the only person that puts serotonin in their cream. So serotonin immediately plumps up your skin because it holds all this moisture in.
Oh,
And
no.
so, oh, my skin, maybe I'm crazy, but I feel like it works right away. That's because it does. Because when you put serotonin on your face, it plumps it up. And then all my other ingredients over time will really help with texture and tightening and everything. So that is very important that you have a good very good skin regimen and a good cream. Non-toxic. Don't use any parabens, phthalates. Hope I'm saying that right. Yeah, I learned all of this when I was working with my chemist. So there's certain things that are hormone disruptors like parabens. You do not want that. If anything sends parabens on your lotions or your creams or whatever, get rid of them. Get rid of them. Terrible, terrible. It should say no perfumes, no parabens, and then PHAL phthalates, I think it is. Yeah.
Awesome. And
Yeah.
where can people find your cream?
If you go to facembeauty.com, FACEM, like Facem, beauty.com, and it's $49 right now. It's usually $149, but I'm rebranding and I'm only until they expire in a month and a half. So the very end of May, but it's a best update. My lab said you're fine, you can keep using it, but I'm doing a blowout sale right now. Yeah.
I'll have to jump on that.
It's so good and it's good for crepey skin. So I was like, what is going on? Especially when you have menopause, you get this crepey skin. And I'm like, I got a bunch of jars and now I'm using it all over my skin. And I'm like, it's saving me. It's saving me for now. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And so, what of all the things that you've tried, what would you say, like, don't waste your time, not worth it at all?
Many of the creams and potions out there that they like, there's so many expensive things. I would have to literally look at a list and tell you this looks good, this doesn't look good. It's how much active ingredients they put in there. Retinol, if you can use it, retinol is phenomenal for your face, phenomenal. But I mean, things that have anything with petroleum jelly, mineral oil, do not use. Do not use. Some people swear by it, but it's toxic. And yeah, stay on clean products. Get clean, non-toxic products. But yeah, there's so many things not to use. Like I can't even like, there's just so many. But mineral oils definitely and petroleum. No, that's a no-go. Yeah.
And then, as far as like procedures go, like I tried Morpheus once, and I was like, that was miserable, and I saw my
Yep. There's a woman in your area named
oh,
Kimberly that has something called a cold shot, and you don't use any numbing cream at all because I would pile that numbing cream on because it's so painful. So I think it's a Zimmer cold shot, and you put it on your face. It makes it very cold, and then they do the thing. You feel nothing, nothing. When I tell you nothing, and that is a very painful procedure. So soft wave, you feel nothing. It's a new technology, so you don't have to use any numbing cream, which is not good for you either.
yeah,
So I'll give you that, but I have to run because I have another call I'm going to be on. But shoot, but we can always have a part two.
absolutely,
Yeah,
Carrie.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like a pleasure to have you on here, and we will
It's been
have a
so
part two.
fun. Yeah, we could talk forever. We
I
could
know.
literally talk forever.
Well, thank you so much. And then I'll email you so we can get all the links so people can find you, and we'll make sure we have
Perfect.
that.
Awesome. Awesome. Thanks, Paige.
You're welcome. Thank you for
Okay.
joining us.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.